Happy Genesis Block Day, everyone! Woo! This video is dedicated to Bitcoin, looking back over the last 10 years and thinking about what are some of the key moments that we've seen in Bitcoin's history, as well as looking at the current state of Bitcoin and what are some of the key developments that we can look forward to in the coming year and years for Bitcoin. 2009, January 3rd. The Genesis block of Bitcoin was launched by the still anonymous Satoshi Nakamoto. In that Genesis block was written a very important statement about why Bitcoin was created and a sign of the times and the failure of monetary policies of central banks and governments. The Times, 3rd January 2009. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. Bitcoin is like rat poison to bankers. It is designed to bring the whole system down to the extent that it can. Of course, also a shout out to the other cover story, which not many people mention, but 10 years later, we still have apartheid happening in Gaza, the world's largest open air prison. We really need better solutions for our society. When you see so much global injustice going on, Bitcoin is just one piece of that puzzle towards making a better future for humanity. And just for fun, BitMEX took out space on the Times January 3rd, 2019 edition, saying, "Thank you, Satoshi Nakamoto, for Bitcoin." Nice. Now, Bitcoin has been declared dead hundreds of times by the media. Oh, they love publishing articles saying, "Bitcoin's done and dusted. Sorry, Bitcoiners, you're wrong." Oh, they love it, and they're so smug. They're so smug. Drives me crazy. Bitcoin has survived all kinds of FUD. Mt. Gox, we survived it. China crackdown, we survived it. And on and on and on and on the FUD has gone, but Bitcoin keeps pressing on. It really shows the resilience of the community, but also the resilience of the network to continue in the face of all of these different things happening. No one has been able to stop Bitcoin yet. And as mentioned, Satoshi Nakamoto to this day remains a mystery. Although someone has claimed to be Satoshi Nakamoto, but they have been unable to prove their claims up until this time. So maybe in the future, Craig Wright will be vindicated and he will actually be able to prove that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. But if he had been, he would have already proven that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. Others are a little less serious about their claims of being Satoshi Nakamoto.
Hi, I use Bitcoin to buy video games. I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
I am Satoshi Nakamoto. Be part of the revolution.
I love freedom. Therefore, I love Bitcoin. I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
I like my freedom above all. I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
I've just made bacon and egg for my father-in-law for breakfast. I'm going to take him to the hospital in a few minutes for a few checkups. So I'm flying well under the radar. People would be amazed to find out that I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
I use Bitcoin every day to secure my financial future. I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
I buy Bitcoin for the sick gains. I am Satoshi Nakamoto.
And there have been some very important things that, in retrospect, when we look back on them, we say, oh my gosh, that was so crazy, like the guy who bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. That was done to prove a point that you could buy things using Bitcoin. Even though that's multi-million-dollar pizza these days, it was a very important moment for Bitcoin because that proved that we can indeed use Bitcoin for payments. And some people are still scared of using their Bitcoin to buy things. Spend it and replace it if you're worried about the future value of it. If you just want to support the network, or if you've made crazy gains on Bitcoin already, don't be afraid to spend a little bit of it. Also, very much worth noting, Ross Ulbricht. He is still in jail to this day. His grand crime, hosting a website where people bought and sold substances that could alter their conscience personally. And a lot of that was done using Bitcoin. The fact that he is still in jail just screams of the overall injustice of the entire system that we're facing to this day. Bitcoin forks. Oh, the forkers forking the Bitcoin. They love to fork around, don't they? Now, the forkers out there have gone off and forked Bitcoin quite a few times, but it seems that Bitcoin, BTC particularly, has been decided on at this time by the market. So all of the alternative visions of Bitcoin, particularly Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, are really struggling, especially after their most recent split up. The market is choosing BTC, the market has not chosen Bitcoin Cash, and the market has not chosen Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. And just to kind of represent how far the market has gone against Bitcoin Cash, there is this great infographic here, which is supposed to show how much people are using Bitcoin Cash and how the Bitcoin Cash network is so big, but it tells a very different story at this time. And in spite of what some people may think, the forking is actually a good thing because it lets the marketplace of ideas choose what does and what does not have value. So it's important that these things are happening. I welcome the forks, even if they can be quite destructive to the overall ecosystem sometimes, and if they can have a negative reputation effect. We're resolving arguments is what we're doing when we have forks in the Bitcoin network. There have been a lot of really exciting things happening in the Bitcoin space recently. Blockstream's satellites, for example, this is going next level censorship resistance. You do not need the internet to connect. You can connect directly via a small dish on your house to the satellites in space. Talk about censorship resistance. Maybe this is why they're building that Space Force. Get up there and shoot down the Bitcoin satellites. We'll see. Of course, that's what it would actually take to be able to knock these off. Not to say that space warfare won't be happening in our future, but right now that is very, very robust censorship resistance. And this is a very big development, of course, because it helps reach so many people that don't actually have regular access to the internet or easy access to the internet. Oh, of course, we can then look at situations where we have power outages or the internet's down for an entire region. All of this is very, very important. Obviously, we want to see more satellites going up into space. We can have an even wider coverage of Oceania, for example, and all over the world. But right now, most of the world's major regions are covered by Blockstream satellites, and that's a really cool development. Lightning Network. Lightning Network is a second layer scaling solution, and it is growing all the time. It has surpassed a 510 Bitcoin capacity currently. The number of channels over the last month in December have grown by 26%. There are also different companies that are working with these implementations for Lightning payments. It's only getting bigger all the time, and the technology is only getting better. Lightning will be a serious factor in the future of Bitcoin in terms of scalability. Then we have Schnorr signatures. Schnorr signatures. I don't always snore, but when I do, I leave my signature. Now, sure, those things, it's a digital signature scheme, and at a technical level, this is going to give Bitcoin users a new way to generate cryptographic keys, also increasing Bitcoin's privacy and scalability. So this is a very important thing. Now, this is being worked on at the moment. We don't have that implemented yet, but it is coming, and when it does come, it will be an important part of the technical features of Bitcoin. We also have Gotenna and their radio mesh network. So again, much like with the satellites, if the power goes down, you're sweet, all good. We also have Bitcoin sidechains. Now these are very important in terms of, again, expanding the use cases and functionality of the Bitcoin main chain. Rootstock, for example, will be bringing smart contracts to Bitcoin. We also have Blockstream's Liquid, which will help to ease transactions between liquid providers. So a lot of things are happening in terms of making it, again, more usable. The hash rate is incredibly secure. And yes, we have seen the hash rate decline this year as the price of Bitcoin has gone down. But if you compare today's hash rate for the network versus a year ago or 2 years ago, we see a significant difference. The network is more secure than it has ever been. And that's just some things happening on the technical side. We're not even getting into like atomic swaps and stuff, which is also a very important part of what's going on with Bitcoin. But in terms of actual access, that's also growing all the time. We have more and more fiat on-ramps for people to be able to buy Bitcoin. And even though we still have a domination of US dollar and Japanese yen, exotic currencies are being added. For example, Binance recently debuting in Uganda, and of course letting people invest with the local currency there. We need to see this happening in more countries so that we can have more fiat on-ramps and make it easier for people all across the world to get into crypto. But the numbers are stacking up really, really well for Bitcoin. In terms of brand, the brand has never been stronger for Bitcoin. More people know about Bitcoin today than have ever known about Bitcoin, and that's something that's really important to keep in mind. We have had a veritable explosion of Bitcoin ATMs in 2018, again, making access even easier for people. Paxful is reporting that in 2018, Bitcoin sales were up 20% in Africa, which is great considering the bear trend of 2018. Local Bitcoins in South America, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, record transactions happening in those countries on local Bitcoins. People are getting into it and it's expanding. And that's what's important to see, that it is starting to reach these further corners of the world, because that is a really, really important thing. It's great for people in New Zealand and the USA and the Netherlands and the UK and France that, wow, Bitcoin's fantastic. But for people on the continent of Africa or in South America, it's a whole nother level of awesome when you look at the use case of Bitcoin. There's also something very interesting which is happening to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Genesis block, and this is an initiative put forward by Trace Mayer. It is called Proof of Keys. Now, Proof of Keys is where you take your money off of the exchange, or your Bitcoin, more importantly, off of an exchange and hold it in a wallet to which you control the keys. The idea here is that there may be a lot of exchanges which may not have as much Bitcoin as they profess to have. These third-party centralized exchanges have been a real bane to the crypto scene overall. Some of them are good actors, but not all of them are. We have so much volume spoofing and all these different things going on that it is incredibly problematic, and some of them may not actually have as much Bitcoin as they say they have. So Trace Mayer is encouraging everyone to withdraw your Bitcoin from the exchange and put it in a wallet in which you control the private keys. Great initiative. And of course, you should always be in control of your funds. It's super important. Just remember the words of our wise friend Andreas Antonopoulos.
Your keys, your Bitcoin. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Your keys, your Bitcoin. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin.
Me personally, the only time I ever actually keep crypto on an exchange is when I'm running a trade. When that trade is completed, I take the Bitcoin off of the exchange, or perhaps I enter a new trade, but certainly the majority of my crypto holdings are in a safe place where I control the private key. Remember, exchanges are not designed for long-term storage. You can trade there, you can buy and sell there, but that's it. It's not a storage facility. Something to keep in mind, guys. Anyway, just some thoughts, sharing my 2 Satoshis on what is going on in Bitcoin right now in terms of the network. And of course, happy Genesis Block Day again, everyone. Remember, you're super awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come over here and watch this video. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up on it. That would be supremely awesome. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to know when I put out a new video, hit that notification bell down below. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.